Okay. Round two, hopefully. Hopefully the audio's on this time. And I'm not even. Also, this is on Twitch. Rip PogChamp.
Round one. Fight.
If you're watching it, when you watch this video, assuming that you're both watching the video and listening to the audio, you know, pay attention to two overarching themes, right? One, just how often the opponent just keeps throwing out moves, right? And more importantly, what moves is he throwing out, how often he's doing them, the sort of frequency and stuff like that, right? And then two, this is for Pickle, by the way, right? Uh, Pay attention to how passive you are on defense because those are my sort of two key points throughout the set. The opponent basically got to do whatever he wanted, and you were too passive on everything: offense, defense, experimentation. And I'll explain my thought process as we go forward. But the main issue is just kind of like you let your opponent just run away with the match, right? And it's I'm not talking about trying to attack him or whiff punish him. I'm talking about your sort of rigidity in your game plan. So I'm going to go over my main points because, and if I see a specific moment that either illustrates my point or I remember it as like a, oh hey, I want to talk about this, I'll pause the video and comment on it. But the main things are going to be neutral, punishment, and matchup knowledge, combos and Oki, and then my personal opinion stuff, right? So first is going to be neutral. We'll just let the video play out. Right here, right? The opponent is throwing out a lot of moves, and you just. Why are you doing back three in that situation, right? Yeah, maybe he's like sidestepping here or there, but it doesn't. You use throughout the set as it progresses, you use a lot of back three, you use a lot of 3+4, and mainly the back three. It just feels like you're throwing it out as like a panic move, like a I don't know what to do in this situation, and screw it, let's just do back three and see how it goes, right? Not necessarily as in like a good read on your opponent. And that's kind of okay. And then this is another key point. Whether it's the first round, the third round, whichever, that Kazuya loves doing down forward 2. Down forward 2 is 12 frame punishable, right? And throughout the entire set, you just let the Kazuya run away with it. And I'm not going to play out the full video, but just basically the main point is he uses it throughout the entire set and you never challenge it once. You try, I think, is it here? Yeah. So you try and do standing 3, which is fine, right? But now, in the future, you know two things. One, this Kazuya is not afraid to use down forward 2, right? Two, standing 3 is not a punish, which means his down forward 2 is safer than minus 13. Okay, so now this is where you go, okay, he's safer than 13 frames. Next time he does down forward 2, let me try my 12 frame punish with forward 2-1. Or if you're afraid of it being punishable, just go 1-4. Fahk 1-4 is one of the best 10 frame punishes in the game, right? High damage, wall splatting, really good frame advantage, plus 16. Doesn't matter that the ballerina stun spins, but wait, you want that because it keeps your opponent at an ideal distance where you can still use your long range tools but not be at risk of your opponent attacking you, right? 1-4 is one of the best 10 frame punishes in the game, easily. And the point being here is that this is a running theme throughout the match. The opponent does a move and you just stand there and block it and take it, but you never actually experiment, right? Your thought process should be, okay, my opponent, even if you don't know the matchup, right? Even if you don't know the matchup, your thought process should be, okay, my opponent just did this move that he did like 10 times before, right? Or and so now I'm going to do A or B. A, they punished, I'm going to do X move, right? Okay, it worked out. I know that's a punish in the future. Or maybe it's not guaranteed, right? But maybe they're safe and they were just pressing buttons. But okay, I know I can use this move in the future. And you have a plenty of low risk options like 1-4, forward 2-1, etc. Right? Low risk in the sense that they're not going to launch punish you like if you did back one. I mean, I don't even think Kazuya has a standing 15 frame launcher outside of electric, but that's a whole different story. So the point being is that you try something, right? You try anything, you duck, punish, whatever, and you're faced with two scenarios. Either A, it worked out and you go, okay, I can do this like thing in the future. I should try to keep doing this and see how well it works out. Or B, it doesn't work out and you go, well fuck, okay, my strategy didn't work out. Either, maybe the move was a mid, or maybe the move wasn't as punishable as I thought it was going to be. And that's still information you're working with. That gives you more information about what your opponent is doing. That is helping you learn the matchup on the fly. You don't have to learn the matchup perfectly, right? But throughout the match, you're gonna see this Kazuya just let down forward to rip, and you just never punish him for it. And he's no longer afraid of using one of his most powerful tools that is somewhat held back by the fact that it's punishable, right? Basically, you're letting Kazuya get away with murder. You know, you're just letting him just let a rip down forward to do as much as he wants, right? And you'll see it throughout the set. And okay, that's an unfortunate. We'll just let the round keep playing out.
Round two. Fight.
So right here, right? Let's just watch this series of events unfold.
Fight.
Okay, right here he blocks 3-4, right? And I don't understand why you went for 3-4 right away, right? Okay, maybe it's like, oh, this Kazuya is a high rank or whatever. Rank never matters, but that's a whole different discussion. Maybe it's because he's got a really big win streak and you're expecting high level play from this Kazuya. Again, win streaks don't matter. You can save scum in this game. Anybody can do it. PS4, PC, whatever, right? Anybody can just rage quit and keep their win streak because who fucking cares? Data is saved locally. It's really fucking dumb. But the point being, I don't see a reason why you'd want to start with 3-4 right away, right? Unless you're familiar with your opponent. You need to make sure that, okay, I'm gonna do my other options first, 3-1 down 4, 3-1-4, 3-1-2, or 3-4-4, and then see how your opponent reacts and then adjust accordingly, right? Because the Kazuya is throwing out buttons, sure, but he's not pressing a lot of buttons when you're pressuring him, right? He usually respects your offense and blocks whatever you do. You're gonna see throughout the set that he just eats nearly every down 4 you throw out. This is not a dude who just, throws out a lot of buttons. So 3-4 is less likely to catch the guy as you would versus someone who's clearly mashing, right? Throwing out a lot of buttons versus someone who's button mashing. Two distinctly aggressive playstyles, but one has the opponent clearly pressing buttons when they know that you're just going to be very passive and let them get away with it. And the other one is someone who's mindlessly pressing buttons and they're going to get counter hit by all your strings. The Kazuya is the former, right? The moment he's able to put pressure on you and he sees you backdashing, he just starts throwing out all the buttons and you're just eating it because you're very passive on your defense, right? Part of it is that you don't really have like the matchup knowledge, which is fine, but the other part of it is that you're also not doing much to discourage the Kazuya, right? I think someone else gave you advice, and I'll try to avoid like covering up any other ground that they cover. Use counter hit tools. Oh. Yeah, I'll talk about that later. Whatever. Okay, so right here, right? Where the fuck is my mouse? No, never mind. Forget the point I was gonna make. Okay, why why the why the back three, right? Like, what is the point there? What do you hope to achieve? The Kazuya, it's a 16 frame move, and it's like the Kazuya is clearly not going to do anything that's launch punishable like that, right? It it's more of like a you're just throwing out this move because you don't know what to do. Remember, you have a variety of punishers, you have a good variety of punishment tools, and you need to experiment with them first, right? That doesn't necessarily mean you have to immediately go like back one or whatever, but do forward two to see if it hits, or do three like you did before, right? Do 1-4, right? Stuff like that. And then, based on what happens in there, then adjust your game plan accordingly, right? Let's say you did forward 2-1. Okay, forward 2-1 didn't work out. Okay, that means it's safer than it. That means it is possibly safer than forward 2-1. Let me do 1-4 next time, right? Um, I'm like debating whether or not to like let this match play out because I've gone over a majority of my points again, right? Like you'll see there, he just does down 4-2 and you backdash away because you're not experimenting with what your punishes are. Rip. Okay, why? I'm just gonna go through my overall sort of musings. I don't think I'm gonna play the rest of the match. So why the forward 1+2, right? What is your game plan there? What is the Kazuya whiffing that you're like, all right, I'm gonna whiff punish with this, right? Because forward 1-2 is not it's not really a block punish, it's a whiff punish, right? Or a long range pushback, which is rare. What did you expect was gonna happen? Again, the Kazuya throws out the moves when he's very close to you that he knows it's gonna block. He's not necessarily whiffing it, right? And if he does whiff something, it'll be something like electric, which, unless you're a machine, you're not gonna whiff punish forward 1+. You're not gonna whiff punish electric with forward 1+2, right? It's just not gonna happen. Let me do my summary over here so I can make the video a bit more concise. Throughout the match, your neutral is very passive. The Kazuya blocks every back three, blocks every 3+4, eats every down four, right? That gives you clear knowledge. You'll see it throughout the match, clear knowledge that yes, this Kazuya is not ducking against you. He's just stand blocking everything you do, right? Which leads to a lot of situations of you should go for down back four. Down back four is a high damage plus on hit low. It's your hatchet kick. That's incredibly strong, right? If the Kazuya is not ducking you, if he's not ducking back three, he's not gonna duck and block down back four, right? And why do you want to do this? Let's look at down four and down back four. Down four is a -5 on hit low, right? Down back four is a +5 on hit low that forces crouch on the opponent, severely restricting their options. Yes, one is insanely fast at 14 frames, and one is like kind of sluggish at 22, 23 frames or something. But it's like the Kazuya hasn't blocked low at all throughout the match. He low parries you like once, he blocks low maybe once, but he's not ducking any of your back threes. He never ducks any of your string cancels into the the 4-4 kick, the kick cancel that's very plus on block, homing, etc. Right? He's not doing any of that. That makes him more vulnerable to lows. That makes him more vulnerable to like plus on block mids, which you don't really have, but it's fine. Whatever. It makes him vulnerable to back forward jet kick, right? Like if you're gonna throw out a move, throw out jet kick. Don't throw out forward 1+2, right? And what else? You don't necessarily need to be very aggressive. You just need to make sure that you use your long range tools to keep your opponent in check. You don't just let the Kazuya run away and do whatever he wants like he's able to do now. Right. And I'll transition into talking about punishment and matchup stuff here. So to sum up the neutral aspects, right, is that you're letting your opponent just run away with the moves, and you need to start taking notice of, okay, what is my opponent letting me get away with, right? Is he ducking my 3 into 4/4 cancel? Is he ducking my down 4s? Is he what does he do when I start busting out the strings, or my other pressure tools like back forward 4, right? Like jet kick, etc. And you need to start taking those lessons into account and start adjusting your gameplay, especially the more sets you play against this guy. Punishment and matchup knowledge, it's tough. I think it's like, yeah, you have a lack of matchup knowledge, and it's like, yeah, go study some punishment videos on Kazuya. But as far as like basic Kazuya advice goes, it's you need to apply pressure on him. Kazuya is not a character with a lot of, amazing panic moves, right? He doesn't have a hop kick. He doesn't have like he kind of has a fast high crush, maybe down 3. I forget what the move is. His power crush is whatever. It's like, it's not like some insane power crush. It's there. It's fine. But if you were to do like jab, you could easily jab into it and then just hold back, right? If you try and pressure him up close with a lot of moves, he doesn't necessarily have a lot of great panic options that are just like, boom, I get a free launch, or boom, I immediately swing the momentum in my favor, right? If you let him just dash in on you and then apply his mix-ups and pressure, then yeah, Kazuya's going to look like this pressure and Oki monster, right? Kazuya's poking is also very shit, right? He doesn't have a good poke up until, maybe down forward 1, maybe back 1. I don't really know Kazuya's poking. But his down forward 1 is 15 frames, right? It's super sluggish. Fahk has an amazing, godlike 13 frame down forward 1. It's insane, right? And he has down forward 1 for up close. He has 3 for long range, and you use those moves to pester the Kazuya from being able to press any buttons, right? And you always keep yourself at this mid range. Those are just kind of like basic Kazuya advice. The main point being is that against any character, you need to change up your playstyle. You need to start thinking in the match of like, okay, I know if I don't know this matchup, I know that you at least know, if you don't know the character matchup, you at least know what Fahk does, right? You know what your 10 frame punish is, you know what your 13 frame punish or 14 frame, etc. You know what your moves do, right? So you use those to put pressure on your opponent and see, okay, what does my opponent do against X strategy? Did that work out? Awesome, let's keep doing it. Did it not work out? Okay, back to the drawing board. Let me try Y strategy, right? And you just keep going through those options and sort of formulate a game plan through this ebb and flow of Tekken, right? Fahk not a flowchart character. He has a lot of powerful strings, but he's also just very popular. He was at one point. I don't know how familiar people are with the matchup now. But the idea being is that no matter what character you play, you also have to adjust to your opponent. Sometimes that means you have to play a very fair and honest game because your opponent knows the matchup and you can't really get away with that much bullshit. Other times, it means, holy shit, this guy does not know anything about this matchup. I can just do whatever I want, right? And that's fine. There's no golden bible on how to play Tekken. There's a lot of recommended strategies, but ultimately it comes down to you do whatever your opponent has a hard time adjusting to, and then you take the win. There's no moral high ground of, oh, I gotta play this solid poking game and stuff like that. Like, no, you don't have to. Your opponent's not going to do that. Is this Kazuya really someone who's doing a lot of like fantastic whiff punishes, and being like, oh, I'm gonna outspace him and punish him with electric? Or is this Kazuya someone who's just like, all right, I'm gonna dash in and just do moves, right? I'm just gonna keep doing moves. I'm just gonna keep doing moves. I'm just gonna keep doing moves. I'm just gonna keep doing moves, right? Where's the spacing and excellent, smart, giga brain Kazuya play that all the the memes about Kazuya players you see. I'm going on a rant, and the main point being is there is no set in stone way of, by God's commandment, this is how you play Tekken, right? It ultimately comes down to there are a lot of wrong ways to play Tekken because they built bad habits and get you killed when you do face stronger opponents. But when you know that, okay, I can do this move or this strategy because my opponent is not able to deal with it and they're going to let me get away with it, right? That is a whole different ball game than I am doing this move and strategy because I'm autopiloting and it's ingrained into my muscle memory and I have no idea what else to do. Years ago, there used to be this amazing Street Fighter player called Punko, right? This is when Akuma was first released and he was busted, and he destroyed everybody in Tekken with Akuma because Akuma was just fucking busted, and he had the execution for the combos and stuff, right? And then what happened? In one of the Evo finals or some match or something, all one guy did was he picked Brian, and he just went, all right, I'm just gonna snake at you because you don't know Tekken, you don't know what you're doing, and you're not gonna know how to handle this move. And Punko, despite being a top caliber Street Fighter player, and he destroyed established Tekken pros with a Tekken 7 release Akuma, right? Just got demolished. At the end of the day, you do what you can to avoid building bad habits, right? Like, I'm not going to tell you, just keep doing 3-1 down 4 all the time, all day, every day. Because you start relying on these moves as crutches, and in place of, let's say, some neutral, you just sort of autopilot these strings. And Fahk has a lot of moves that if you start autopiloting, you're going to die, right? What I'm saying is adjust to your opponent. Figure out what your opponent has a hard time dealing with, and then abuse those options. Oh man, I went really off tangent. Where was I? Punishment. Yeah, it's really just punishment matchup knowledge. You really just have to. I'll let the video play out. You really just have to just experiment and see, like, okay, what can I do? And then after you're done playing this guy, you go look up a Kazuya punishment guide and you go figure out, like, okay, I know what I can do against Kazuya if I run into him in the future. Right? Combos and Oki, they're fine. No comment. I don't think that's like the big issue here. Maybe you could do a bit more with like full crouch stuff and using your hell sweep a bit more. That was a really good whiff punish. So yeah, it's whatever. Personal opinion stuff. Oh, right. Option. Okay, so personal opinion stuff. It's basically options that I think are neat, but your mileage may vary, or maybe you prefer something else, and that's perfectly fine, right? And one of the things I'm gonna bring up is back one. Someone Goop, they recommended it to you as, hey, you need to make sure you're punishing stuff with back one, right? And I would agree, because back one is a 14 frame guaranteed 60 damage with punish, or block punish in those situations. That's insane. Think about it, right? Paul has Death Fist. That's 54 damage. And everybody knows Death Fist, and it does everything you want and need, right? You have back one. It guarantees forward 2-1, right? And I can understand being scared about using it because it's a launch punishable move, even though the block stun is super fast and nobody ever actually launches it. The point being is that you need to experiment and use more of your tools, right? A lot of people's quick whiff punish in like, let's say, a situation of, okay, I know my opponent just whiffed something, but it's not enough to get a punish, a launch, or I'm too slow to recognize it, and I'm not fast enough to capitalize with the launch. They just do 1-2, right? Your quick 10 frame jab punish as a quick whiff punish. Fahk has 1-4, right? You're if you visually see your opponent whiffing a move and they're in range, and Fahk's jab range is pretty solid, right? And you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I'll make it in time for, down forward 2-3 or back one or whatever. You'll make it in time for 1-4. Trust me, you'll have plenty of time. So experiment with that more as like a whiff punish for those fast whiffs that you're like, I don't know if I can make it, or if you're still afraid of using back one, right? The point being is that you have a lot of options available to you, really powerful options, and you need to experiment with those more. Use more down back 4 and back forward 4. If your opponent isn't ducking, remind them why they need to be ducking against Fahk and Rom. If your opponent doesn't duck, your more powerful mid options like 3+4 lose their power, right? 3+4, and rip, the nerfed 3+4. 3+4 is really strong because it's a safe knockdown mid that also counter hit launches, right? It ends your turn, but from the distances that it hits at, you're not really going to worry about that too much. But if your opponent just, but it's also like this dual like dichotomy, right? 3+4 helps make your opponent scared of ducking back forward 4 and down back 4, right? But if you never do those moves, if you never make your opponent like give them a reason into ducking, you're not applying any pressure and they're just gonna stand block everything, right? Down 4 is a very good move. It's one of my favorite tools with Fahk and one of the reasons I love playing him. It is not a move for pressure. You don't look at a move that's -5 on hit and go, yeah, that's my pressure tool, right? Yes, down back 4 is slower. Yes, down back 4 and down 4 are both, punishable on block. Down 4 being launch punishable. And down back 4 in this matchup is launch punishable, right? But think about all the times that you hit down 4 throughout this match. And think about all the times you do all these moves that are, and the Kazuya just stand blocks. You can stand to get away with a bit more. I'm not telling you to do 3 of them in a row, right? But I'm telling you to make sure that you remind the Kazuya that, yes, I have this move and I will use it against you. If you're deathly afraid of getting launched by twin pistons, then you still have down 4 or 3, right? The important thing being it's a very strong, high damage low from standing. Yeah, it's -1 on hit and you can't really continue your turn after that, but that's fine. What else? Use more string cancels. Just use more tools to figure out, okay, what is the Kazuya good at dealing with? What is he bad at dealing with? I'm not telling you to like always use 3-4-4, right? And it's like, yeah, the string has its drawbacks, but I'm telling you is that you need to make sure that the opponent, that that the opponent can deal with this before, sealing it off. Yeah, and that's just kind of my thoughts on the match. Obviously, like, I might have glazed over some stuff or not covered something because I'm doing this the second time, and I remember most of my thoughts, but it is what it is. These are just my thoughts. Oh, I should have put this at the beginning of the video. Look, disclaimer, I'm just a nerd who likes Tekken and Fahk, right? I'm by no means a pro. I'm by no means like by no means a professional at this game or anything. I'm just giving my 2 cents, and I'm just saying, like, look, based on Fahk and Rom's tools, based on what I see pro players do with Fahk and Rom, based on my personal experiences, this is what I've seen lead to a bit more success. And these are my thoughts, right? Take what I say with a grain of salt. It's by no means gospel, but take it into consideration, and that's pretty much it. If you have any thoughts or questions or anything, feel free to, just ask away, and I'll happily respond to them. Cool.